And joining me now is Atlanta Journal-Constitution senior political reporter and MSNBC political contributor Greg Bluestein, also a good friend to us and also someone who was at that rally, I'm told. Give me your takeaway of how the crowd reacted to Kamala Harris. What do you think landed the best in that crowd?
Yeah, well, it's an enthusiastic crowd, and I think her message that go out there, and if you've already voted, that's fine, but go and encourage your neighbors, your friends, others, because we know that even with the record-setting turnout, in-person turnout in Georgia, 4 million people who've already cast their ballots, that means there's millions more who haven't. And now the campaigns shift to that. They shift directly here in Georgia to the get out the vote for Tuesday's election, something that they've always been on their mind, but we've had 3 weeks of early voting, so you're going to see a dramatic shift in the next couple of days.
Let's look at a few more numbers here, because just under 5 million Georgians voted in 2020. The turnout in this election, Greg, it might go way beyond that. Does the early voting data suggest which candidate has an advantage there? And I'm curious how the campaigns might shift strategies in these final days to focus on voters who go out and vote on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's impossible to tell which candidate might have the edge because, of course, we don't know who they voted for. But we know that really sophisticated data modeling from both campaigns signals that this race, the early voting margins are with a couple tens of thousands of votes apart, right? So it's very close. Republicans have plenty of reason to be optimistic because, in part, because for the first time, the presidential campaign is pushing Republican voters to vote early in these presidential contests. There's been really high turnout in rural parts of the state, particularly northeast Georgia. But, and this is a big but, after a very slow start, Metro Atlanta came out in force in the last couple days. And Democrats, as I was leaving that rally, I was talking to a few officials. They are buoyant. They're enthusiastic because of an early voting boom in Metro Atlanta. That is where more than half of the state's electorate lives. That's the biggest Democratic stronghold in the state. And early voting there is exceeding the state average. So Democrats have much reason to be optimistic, too.
With regard to Republicans, though, do you have that sense you've heard about cannibalizing the vote from Election Day? They've gone to early voting. Is there any indication that it is maybe lower propensity voters that are voting in the Republican Party, or it's just people that would have maybe voted Tuesday but came out early?
Yeah, most of these are shifts of voters who would normally vote on Election Day and are voting earlier now, especially when you get to some of these really small rural counties. There's not many people left to vote in some of these counties. I mean, some of the counties are already having more than 2/3 of early voting turnout. So it's shocking even Republican elected officials. It's still too early to tell how much this will add to the pie or just change the way people are voting. A vote is a vote, right? But we will see in a few days if the size of the GOP electorate is substantially changed. We're also seeing a number of voters, 700,000 plus people who did not vote in the 2020 election who are voting in this election. Some of these are new voters to Georgia. Some of these are younger, but some of these might just be energized by these two candidates for the first time.
They want to get out there engaged in this one. Let me ask you about the Republican-aligned Super PAC, which is sending texts to Democratic-leaning Georgia voters to cast their ballot for Green Party candidate Jill Stein. How much cash, how much resources is this PAC putting into this effort? Does Stein have enough support in Georgia to play spoiler for Kamala Harris?
You never know in a state like Georgia. This is not a high dollar effort, but it's really indicative of the games that, folks on outside groups are playing in states like Georgia, which, of course, was decided by fewer than 12,000 votes 4 years ago. So even a small shift could make a big difference. We know from the AJC polls that Jill Stein has very negligible support. It's under 1%, right? Almost, within the margin of error. But, there is this concern from Democrats that if she siphons off just a little bit of Kamala Harris's support, it could pay dividends for Donald Trump's campaign in the long run.
I'll tell you, it's that 11,000 something votes that Donald Trump called about. So you're right. It was a close race. Brad Raffensperger taking that call going, can't do that. Anyway, Greg, thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you.